Over the past few months, the world has witnessed something quite unprecedented, and this has had a profound impact in our lives in all respects. Fundamentally, in the way we interact socially or at work with one another. As the world opens up, organizations are increasingly beginning to find that things are not going to be the same as before. The crisis has necessitated organizations to redefine their strategies and plans, which may well stay in what is being called the new normal. As we seek to find answers and solutions in our work without losing momentum of our CSR initiatives, let's listen to our leaders today and get some practical wisdom from them. Today's conversation is brought to you by the National CSR Network as part of our Heal with Hope at End CSR project, whereby we bring to you inspiring stories of how to look beyond the difficult and unprecedented times we face today and do even more meaningful work that benefits our communities and our planet at large. The National CSR Network is an initiative of the Strategic CSR Alliance, comprising of industry professionals to assist companies in India to drive their CSR agenda with measurable impact and facilitate implementation of social and environmental development projects. Today, I have great pleasure in presenting Mr. Raju Sharma, Director Corporate Social Responsibility at Interglobe Aviation Limited. Mr. Sharma leads the social initiatives of the company in the areas of children and education, women empowerment, environment, and heritage. An alumnus of Tata Institute of Social Sciences, Mumbai, Mr. Sharma carries a rich experience of 20 years in the development sector, in which he has worked with NGOs, INGOs, government, and corporates, ranging from grassroots implementation programs to the strategy and planning level. Mr. Sharma's strength lies in partnership management, development of sustainable models, project management, CSR, and teamwork. Mr. Sharma has presented several papers on CSR and development forums. He is an avid reader and loves to explore new places. His pride lies in having completed the Rupkund trek at an altitude of 17,000 feet. Mr. Sharma is also a great yoga enthusiast, traveler, and has an ear for music. Mr. Sharma, we are very glad to have with you today. Can you kindly share about the CS focus areas in Indigo?
Thank you, Madan, and thank you everyone for inviting me and giving me the space to share with my viewers and with all of you about Indigo and our journey so far. And what you presented about me is really incredible, and thank you. I feel honored about it. So, if I may share about Indigo CSR, which is a very critical component of our work, Madan. I mean, we have been working in the CSR space even before the bill came into being. So there are four key domains of Indigo CSR. The number one, children and education. That is a very critical component of our work. Number two is women empowerment. Number three is heritage. And number four is environment. So I'd like to unfold a bit when I talk about these four domains. So when I say children and education, what do we mean by? We are saying that Indigo will always work with the government school systems. Indigo will work on the quality improvement inside the government schools. We know that enrollment is no longer a problem today in our country. More and more children are getting enrolled. But how do we substantiate the government efforts in improving the quality inside the classroom is a real work that we want to engage in the years to come, and that is something we are doing. So therefore, we kind of strategize on four different ways. One is we work we work extensively on teacher training programs, providing additional pedagogies, working extensively with the headmasters. So one of our strategy, Madan, is that we see the headmasters as the CEOs of the organization of the school. We say that they are the linchpins of the development. The teachers are the linchpin of development in the school. So we lay a great deal of focus on the teacher development and teacher training programs. So quality improvement inside the classroom is one of our key domain area of work. Then we talk about the digital learning inside the school. So we have the Indigo Blue buses, which we have earmarked for our rural children. So these buses are equipped with computers and computers and televisions and internet facilities. It goes from school to school, the government school to school, teaching children how to use the computers. Teaching children through the smart classes. In the internet facility. So children first of all, they find the learning very engaging. The children find it very, very interesting to learn complicated concepts like a cube and a cuboid and and the concepts of trigonometry and all of this. So we have smart classes moving from through in our Indigo Blue bus. So that's the digital learning that we engage in. And thirdly, we talk about the physical infrastructure development. We say that the in the physical infrastructure of in the rural schools has to improve. So therefore, whether it is a creation of beautiful schools using Bala building as a learning aid, or working out a library, a laboratory, painting the walls beautifully, making the classroom attractive so that children are attracted to it. So essentially, we talk about the entire school paraphernalia development, whether it is the academic development, whether it is the digital learning, whether it is the physical infrastructure. So that's something which we talk about. Children and education in the children and education. Then also we work with the high IQ children from the slums of Delhi NCR and Varanasi. So we have identified high IQ children coming from these slums. We support their education in some of the good schools. Then we also work with special children in Delhi NCR, with selected special children in Delhi NCR. So that's another domain of our work within children and education. Secondly, Madan, I want to talk about the second domain, which is the women empowerment. So what do we mean by women empowerment? We say that empowerment will start if women start earning income, start earning their income without leaving the household, or without distress migration. Everybody can migrate to other cities in search of better opportunities, but we are saying that okay, you stay in the house, but let us help you in increasing the income. So it might be through agriculture and non-agricultural mechanisms. So all other development paraphernalia, whether it is concepts of gender improvement, whether it is concept of any other development around women, we say that first of all, we'll talk about women empowerment through economic means of livelihood, through improvement in the economic means of livelihood. So a lot of programs around, rural poor women are around income generation opportunity. So we reach out to more than 5,000 women across the country. Third, we are talking about heritage. So India is a country with a large number of historical heritage sites. We are talking about conservation and maintenance of these historical sites. And we don't talk about only repair and maintenance and conservation of buildings. We are saying that, okay, there are cultural ethos around the historical buildings. There are language, there are scripts. Let us work with communities to revive all of that. And thirdly, we are talking about environment. So whether it is tree plantation initiatives, whether it is reforestation in certain ecologically fragile areas, whether it is replenishment of the underground water. So we are talking about these four critical domains. And when we talk about children and education, women empowerment, heritage, and environment, we are saying that we will substantiate the government's efforts, whether it is the national government, whether it's the state government, whether it's the district government, or even the block and panchayat level. We are saying that let's substantiate and strengthen the government systems here. Okay. Let us work with the communities. Let us work with rural communities, with the panchayats, with the women in the villages. Let us work in this stakeholder, in partnership mode with all of them. And thirdly, we are saying that let us engage our employees, our staff across the locations in all our CSR initiatives. So these are the four domains, Madan. We have been working since the last 5-6 years or so, and will continue to work in the CSR domain in the years to come, because that's a very critical part of our entire ecosystem.
Sure.
That's
Yeah,
something.
yeah. I think that's very inspiring. And in fact, I think I just picked up some very good examples like the smart classes, the digital learning, which really is, quite ahead of its time in terms of, being able to provide learning, because, we do have, we do know that there are quite a lot of school dropouts. So it's not so much about enrollment, and this is a great way to help ensure that, the children really, stick to the learning, and even the women empowerment. It's also about helping them, earn income during their, while they're still at home. So I think these are very good examples, and thanks so much for sharing this. Now, within these, if I can just, request you to look at, what has been happening over the last few months in terms of the social distancing, etc. And could you tell me a little bit more about, how it's impacted the work that you do, and also, how has this helped you redefine some of your strategies and plans that you may have come up with? So if you could just throw some light on, how have you changed and your strategies, and how have they impacted your work, during these past few months?
Madan, that's a very good question. And I want to kind of take a pause here before answering this question and talk about a fundamental thing. What I have always believed in my life, in my 20 years of work and otherwise also, is that work like these, the development work per se, is completely, it has to be based on a trust. It has to be a trust-based relationship. Now, trust is not an abstract concept for me. It is a way of functioning for me and for my organization in Indigo. When I say trust, and now in during COVID times, we are in a very unprecedented times now. We are in a difficult situation. Of course, we will emerge out of it. We'll come out of it as a company, as a nation, as a society, as a humanity will come out of it. That's something which we know. I'm very trustful. But what is very important and when which is that during this time and otherwise also we have to work in a trust-based relationship. And when I say that this development work cannot happen in isolation, we have to work in partnership with the communities, with the panchayats, with civil society, with the academia, with the NGO partners, with the corporate and the government. Each of these stakeholders have to work hand in hand. I, as a development worker, as a CSR professional, cannot say that no, I cannot build on your experience. If I say that I cannot learn from Madan, if I am arrogant enough to say that, okay, nay, I know everything and that I don't need to learn, I will be grossly mistaken. So I have to learn from you. I have to learn from the media. I have to learn from the academia. I have to learn from the grassroots. So therefore, this trust-based relationship has to be strengthened more and more, particularly during this time. You know, conventionally, again, I somehow sometimes felt that the NGOs do not trust the corporates. The corporates think that no, NGOs cannot teach me anything. No, I have always believed that the NGOs are there to teach us many things. They are there in the grassroots organ, and I have worked with grassroots organizations. I know that okay, they bring around innovativeness and their reach to the community like no one else. So we have to leverage on that. Similarly, the corporates bring some of the most brilliant management, ways of working, which has to be learned by the corporates. The documentation part, the communication part. Communication is extremely important, and it is not about only speaking flawless English. It is about how you communicate the most important lessons from the grassroots learnings, which need to be replicated at the planning level. So how do you bring about this trust is something which I think is a very, very critical point, which we need to do. And this is precisely what we have done. What we have done as a company is that we have reached out to our NGO partners times and again, not once, not twice, but innumerable times in explaining it to them what in the kind of position that we are in since April. The kind of strategies that we need to adopt to redefine our programs. How do you talk to them? It would have been it would have been naive on our part if we as CSR professionals, as CSR partners, we kept quiet and not reach out to our NGO partners. But no, we thought that our leadership, our management also has been communicating extensively on what's happening within the company and outside. We as a CSR team have reached out to our NGO partners time and again that, okay, this is what is happening. This is how we should replan. Let us replan our strategies. Let us do away with some programs which are more human intensive, which are more physical training oriented, and let us shift to some digital, learning programs. For example, I'll just give you an example, Madan. In one of the programs in Madhya Pradesh we're doing, where there was a lot of engagement of, teaching children, in a learning academic center. We said that children will come to a big area, we'll teach them physically. There will be a lot of classes. After the COVID, there was a discussion amongst us, and then what will happen? We developed a mohalla learning center. We said that, okay, we will go back to the mohallas. We will teach them by maintaining social distance. Let us use the radio, community radio. Let us use the internet. Let us use the mobile phones. In all our education programs, Madan, we are using extensively the digital learning space, using the mobile technology, using the mobiles, using the WhatsApp, using our own digital buses. So our strategies have to change depending upon what are the circumstances. And then we network and communicate with each other. Okay, this is what is happening. Let us rework on our plans and strategies. Let us rework our monitoring systems. Let us rework on our impact, and then move on. Ultimately, the learning has to happen. The communities, the children have to learn and get benefited. So when the COVID circumstances appeared, we reached out to communities. We reached out to our esteemed partners. We even reached out to some of the government block officials, the district officials. Okay, this is happening. This is the new ways of working. So, Madan, I believe that there has to be a trust-based, communication-based relationship more and more. So, NGOs have to develop the strength of writing, communicating, usage of social media extensively, right use of social media. It is not about only, self-aggrandizement. We should not be using that, but drawing out the lessons, sharing more and more, reaching out to large number of people. I think that is something very, very critical at this point of time. And I'm sure all of us have been doing a fantastic job of learning from each other and improvising in it. So that is something which I just wanted to highlight.
Yeah, I think I think you make some very good points, and one is really the piece around trust, because trust actually transcends all crisis, and when you build that foundation of trust, and with the various stakeholders in the ecosystem, then you really prepare something which is quite sustainable. And also the other piece around learning from each other, because as you rightfully mentioned, the NGOs have certain expertise, and the corporates have certain expertise, the government has. So it's really good to pull in all. And maybe it was happening even before COVID, but probably COVID has accelerated the process of doing that, because there's a larger need for people to come together, to collaborate, to work in a in a spirit of trust, etc. So I think those are very good examples, and also the way we can actually roll out CSR not only today but in the future. So when you have
Madan, I'm sorry to be cutting you here.
Go ahead, please.
I also want to acknowledge, highlight, underline the role played by media, the role played by networks like yours. You are doing a phenomenal work in connecting the donor organizations, the CSR partners, the civil society, the NGO partners, and the grassroots organization. I think this is what you are doing. You are doing exactly what it is needed now. You are trying to bridge that, and I just want to highlight and share and congratulate you for doing this. This is the need of the hour, to talk more and reach out to people, and talk not incessantly, but talk meaningful sense and draw and learn lessons, and then move on from there. So I just want to place on record this, Madan. Thank you so much for doing that.
Thank you so much. I think that really is inspiring. It also helps us want to have more of these conversations as we go along. As as you've been working on your projects, I'm sure there'll be some inspiring stories that must come to your mind, which has either touched your heart, or that has really made an impact in the lives of some people. So are there any one or two that you may want to share with the viewers?
Yeah, Madan. Yeah, I'll just quote two. I won't take much time, but I'd like to highlight here two things. So we have this whole program on digital learning in our villages in 4 locations actually, and we are working with begin with around 75 government schools. So the kind of encouragement and support that we are reaching out, we are getting from the government school teachers, the headmasters, the children, the communities, and most importantly, the block education officials, the government block education official and district education official. That is phenomenal. Even the state education official, that is phenomenal. Everybody, even if it's a Sunday, Saturday, they are willing to come together and share these learnings, share the encouragement with our rural children. I think that everybody seems to have understood that these are critical times and we need to come together. I think this partnership is something which I am extremely excited about. And I think, yes, we are challenged, but the time is now to work unitedly together with the government and with the district and with everybody together. And that is something which is very inspiring to see. I have participated in many of these, online virtual graduation ceremonies, prize distribution ceremonies involving panchayat members, children, community members, where the government officials have also stayed 2 hours, 3 hours, and have given their speeches, have given us ideas, given us congratulatory messages. That itself is inspiring. Otherwise, normally we tend to not take these things into cognizance. But yes, we recognize and appreciate and accept that. That's something which is very encouraging. And secondly, I also want to tell you about about the training programs that's happening in the grassroots, whether it is Maharashtra where we have the women empowerment program, or whether it is the Northeast where we are working with some of the communities in Kamrup district and Meghalaya. Even when the lockdown is relaxed, we explain to the communities that, okay, you need to come together in one particular place, but please maintain the social distancing, come out of the households and maintain the social distancing, wear your mask and do the training. They have come, not they have not missed one training program. To see them getting, these are, again, as I said, these are difficult times and these are unsure times. Even then they come out with all their masks, leaving everything from their house, come for the training and go back with the lessons and start working. That's a very inspiring thing from the field. So what I'm saying is that people have been proactive in the field, people have been proactive in the government, in the civil society. We need to leverage this from here. Our programs have to be flexible to address these needs. So the problem, the challenge for us is to draw exciting programs, flexible programs. We have to improvise there and then say that, okay, this is something which will work. Let's work together. I think this is something which I have seen in the field, and women are doing phenomenal. Community women are doing phenomenal at this level, and I want to continue this good work as we progress.
I think some great inspiring stories, and actually this trend is quite visible, because even as I've been speaking to some of the other CSR leaders, many of them have been really talking about how women, children, the NGOs have really kind of just taken on the mantle of larger responsibility during these times, and that is truly inspiring. And I'm sure you'd agree that we should continue with that particular momentum, with that particular spirit of giving and serving, because in that you get maximum fulfillment. Of course, you can meet your CSR objectives, you can meet your quotient, etc. However, the proof of the pudding is really around the impact that you create, and also the personal sense of fulfillment that you get out of the work that you do. So some very great examples. Is there any final words of advice that you would like to share with the viewers?
Viewers, I think it's time for all of us to really pump up our energies, our resources. We need to collectively come together as much as possible because yes, we know the resources are scarce. Business will take time to revive and to thrive and all. We need to maximize our resources and maximize our learning as much as possible so that we can learn from each other. Let's trust each other that, okay, the other person is also trying his or her level best to do what he or she can do. let us give that positivity. Let's spread that positivity, and I'm sure we'll be able to, do a lot. Let's write, let's read, let's reach out to people, and let's help each other. Let's make the world a better place in whatever way we can. That's all I can say.
Very well said, Mr. Sharma. So, thanks so much for joining us today and also sharing your personal experiences and practical suggestions for our viewers. Especially the point that stayed with me is the element of trust and continuously learning from each other. So, this is a journey that the corporates, NGOs, the governments, the communities, everybody is going to work together. So, my best wishes to you all. And dear
Thank you.
viewers, thank you for listening to the conversation with Mr. Sharma, and we hope that you found it inspiring and useful. And we hope that you also got some practical advice on how you can drive CSR initiatives in your organization. If you would like to share your feedback or any suggestions, or if you would like to know more about the National CSR Network, please do visit our website. Thank you so much for joining us, and please stay safe and well. Thank you.